Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul. In this video, we're breaking down Gen V. We are back with Season 2 Episode 5, and there's a lot to deep dive on. We get a major cameo with Sister Sage, and a huge reveal that Marie's sister's in Elmira. It's an almighty twist that will tilt her whole world on its head. Cipher is also desperate to upgrade Marie's powers as he gives her the ultimate test. Using Annabeth as a tool, we may have finally gotten an insight into what his real endgame is. Cipher forces her to reach to her final form of being able to bring someone back from the dead. If she can do that, then she can probably fix Cipher's father, and I feel like we're starting to see things fall into place. But there's a lot to go through, and in this video, we'll be breaking down it all. But with that out of the way, thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into Gen V.
We are gonna get everything we want.
Okay, so we open 1 month prior and see Cipher picking flowers from the garden. I did wonder if this was symbolic and showing how he waits for students to grow until they're at their full potential before snipping them and taking them under his wing, which is a big fucking reach. These flowers are also yellow lilies. The flower has been known to mean rebirth, new beginnings, and also hope. Something which I think fits well with Cipher's plans to fix his father's ailments. As we saw last week, Thomas Godolkin was the one behind the huge safety door in the Dean's residence. We learn that Cipher is his father's caregiver and see that in full effect. He has a fridge full of food and containers, which he then scoops out. If you cast your mind back to when Kate went into his office, you might remember he was also putting stuff into a blender. Kinda riffs off this and plays into our theory that he may even be a meat puppet of the guy that's in the tank, especially as they have the same diet. It could explain why he's in pain all the time, and Jordan may have been feeling Thomas instead of Cipher. It also explains the liquid lunch later in the episode. The pair being tethered might also build into that weird sex scene that we get in just a bit. Either way, Thomas Godolkin was heavily burned after the lab accident in 1967 and has been immobile ever since. This has led to his son taking care of him. Surely Vought can spring like a nurse or two. The medical benefits, yeah, they must have. I mean, they did it for Stormfront. Or maybe he just wants to keep his father's status secret, which does make more sense. Anyway, we also hear Violin Sonata number 21. It's a somber piece by Mozart as it was written around the same time that his mother died. It reflects Cipher here, as for him, his father's pretty much dead. Well, until Marie will eventually manage to heal him. Calling that theory time right now. Godolkin's also had 60s pop music playing in his room up until now, so the music is Cipher's choice. Thomas smells the flowers, eats the puree, and needs to have everything done for him. It's no wonder that his son wants to find a fix as soon as possible, and we then see as he's bathed. Sister Sage comes in, and she's wearing a Strolls t-shirt, which is a brewery in Detroit. It's just another in a long line of Detroit t-shirts that she's worn throughout the franchise. Just like how Mother's Milk wears rap t-shirts on screen right now. We then get a pretty interesting discussion as Cipher defends his music choice, saying that it was Einstein's favourite piece. Only for Sage to quip that he was a racist and disliked Chinese people, which was actually something that was discovered in his travel diaries. Cancel Einstein. We have kind of talked about how they're basically building off Operation Paperclip and how German scientists came to the West and basically worked for Vought. So it could be another time with that. Him saying it's Einstein's favourite piece might also show how in this universe, Thomas Godolkin actually worked with Einstein. We'll not theory time that one, but it turns out Sister Sage was the one who brought the gnome turned fleshlight, and they are in a strange sexual relationship. Like, really, right there in front of his dad. It's really weird as Sage bounces on it and stares at Godolkin, but again, it might be Thomas living vicariously through his son, or simply controlling Cipher, and this voyeurism's just him experiencing it through his meat puppet. Which I do wonder if Sage is even aware of. The way that she looks at him throughout, though, I do get that feeling, and I also feel it would be weird doing it in front of someone's son, which she would be aware of, so she's like, well, it's part of his power to control people, and therefore she's doing that. But never expect the boys to do anything vanilla, mate. Now, Sage has had a couple of relationships thus far. She used sex to control the deep. She also had a relationship with Black Noir, and I do wonder if she has to lobotomize herself before those booty calls with Cipher. However, the pair might be equals in some way, as he's clearly very intelligent. So maybe she actually sees him as being on her level, unlike the Deep, who she is of course manipulating. Sage convinced him of his perceived superiority, which then led to him standing up to Ashley. With that in mind, I do wonder if she's using Cipher for her own gains as well. After all, it turned out that her getting fired and Homelander ruining her plan were actually part of her plan. She seems to want to help him level up Marie and is taking an interest in his plan, which is what we see later on. So potentially she may want him finally cured so she can take that love to the next level. In the present day, we then learn that Sister Sage is the new CEO of Vought. Ashley's work was handed over to Sage in season 3, with the former PR girl being kept on as just a figurehead. After learning she was the next to be purged in season 4, she took Compound V and turned into a monster. So though Sage has been in charge for a while, it's now official. It's intriguing to hear that Ashley's still alive though, as we still haven't learned of her fate. The last we saw her, she was transforming after taking V, and her fate was left in the air. This season opened with the scientists doing the same thing, and all of them then suffered a grim fate. So it is interesting hearing that she's not dead. Now I do wonder if this will be a comic book Lamplighter situation. There the former member of the Seven was kept alive due to the V in his system, which turned him into a zombie. He had a room covered in feces, but the show took a different approach with the character. Maybe we'll see her locked up in Vought Tower or something, and I think the body horror with her is going to be something amazing though, as they've had a full season to think of what to do with it. Now we discover that Sage is the one who brought Annabeth to Elmira. This is what proves to be the best present that Cipher's ever received. It highlights how the war on prejudice is turning and how Vought is kidnapping innocent humans as well as supes. It shows just how evil the companies become and how they're now above the law. They're now able to arrest private citizens and can throw anyone who opposes them in jail. She says how they're going to get everything they want, which as of yet hasn't been revealed. Homelander probably won't be too thrilled about how powerful Marie's going to become, but at the moment, Sage has him under her thumb. His biggest weakness is his ego, and he's someone she can easily manipulate. She has a disdain for humans, so whatever our boy Cipher's planning, she wants to make sure it happens.
Humans are animals.
Which could play into how if Godolkin's controlling him, then she just sees him as an animal and a means to an end to get off. Either way, I think we're careening towards the iconic White House showdown between Billy and Homelander. We won't get too spoilery for the comics there, but I love these kinds of cameos as they really expand the boys' universe and make this feel more than just an inconsequential spin-off. This video is sponsored by Raycon. So for the last couple of months, I've been looking for a good set of headphones to go jogging in. I've got a couple of the over-ear ones, but the issue is they get very, very uncomfortable. So I swapped to some smaller earbuds, but they get cramped, block out sound, and yeah, 2 hours of sweating in them just rots away the rubber. However, Raycon have changed the game. These earbuds just slip over your ear effortlessly and you won't even feel like you're wearing them. Beyond that, they're open earbuds, so you're going to be able to hear what's going on around you. I run next to roads and stuff and always worry I'm going to miss a car or not hear a bike coming up behind me. These are optimally designed though to give you the right level of sound quality while not blocking out your surroundings. It really is the best of both worlds. Obviously, you know, you can use them beyond just running, but they're now my favorite pair of headphones for everyday life. They also have a 36-hour battery with 8 hours of playtime. It all comes in this case you can charge them in, and their touch control makes them easy to pause or play when you need to. They really are outstanding, and all you have to do is just click the link in the description and go to buyraycon.com/heavyspoilersopen to get 20% off. Get yourself feather-light, clear, crisp audio and a pair of headphones you'll never want to leave behind. Go to buyraycon.com/heavyspoilersopen and get that 20% off. Huge thank you again to Raycon for sponsoring the video. Now let's get into the rest of the breakdown. Anyway, we then jump to after the fight and see both Marie and Jordan are in shock. Beyond Cipher's intervention, we also learn that Marie's now the new #1. We get an interviewer asking if trans athletes should be banned from sports, and it comes after saying Jordan had a biological advantage in their male form. Jordan's also furious after their body was taken over by Cipher, and it's a clear violation. Around the locker room, we also see little nods to the wider universe. There's a Homelander poster along with some classic boxing ones from before the supes became prominent. Now it turns out that Jordan could see and feel everything while being puppeted by Cipher. They describe it as being like you sat in the backseat of a car. This reminds me a lot of the 2017 classic Get Out. Their people's bodies and minds were hijacked, and they basically had to just sit back and watch. Later, Cipher explains he chose Jordan because he thought they would be the easiest to control. He even calls them weak in the changing rooms, and this is something he repeats in the prison. It's something that's been a massive fear of Jordan, which further makes them easier to manipulate. They were Brink's TA and also fought Golden Boy. However, they were only made #1 as Vought could market them using pink capitalism. The fact they were #1 for such a short time as well kind of plays in that fear of them not having any control. She was also held in the air like some human blood bag, so all that agency was taken away. Cipher's here to pressure Marie to go further, and he wants to carry on with the training. Marie doesn't seem to actually care about developing her powers though, and once again, Elmira is being used as a threat with the reveal that Kate was also sent there. She's used up all her chances and usefulness with the Dean and is a victim of his pettiness. He says that someone needed to be punished, and while Cipher's in control of the university, he still needs to save face in front of Vought. The poor victim this time's Kate, and we see her being booked into the raft. Elmira. Kinda highlights how under fascism, everyone eventually becomes a victim of it, and if you do a naughty thing, you go straight to jail. What it also shows is that Cipher's gonna use Marie's friends to get what she wants. She is the ultimate outcome of Project Odessa, and if we're right, then she's gonna be how Godolkin gets back his body. Though he needs her, he can hurt those around her. You might also notice the walls say hands must be visible at all times, which, sorry Kate lass, pretty close to home. She's given zero dignity and has to strip down in front of the gods. Kate's been the right hand of Shetty and Cipher, no pun intended, but is now just another perp. What's ironic is that she's now the sort of soups that she and Sam would have hunted down during their hellish summer internship. It's a harrowing scene as she's cavity searched, and they even take her prosthetic arm off. So obviously playing off concentration camps, detention centers, and how they can dehumanize someone completely. Even her wig's taken. This then leads to Emma calling her Weird Barbie later on. This is actually a reference to Kate McKinnon's character in 2023's Barbie. She then gets given a power dampener collar, which we've seen in the MCU, the original X-Men animated series, and also DC Comics. Jordan and Emma not having this when they were transported in episode 1 was kind of a hint that they were getting shipped out. Kate then tries to use her powers, but we get that continued theme of helplessness as it doesn't quite work. Instead of killing them like she says, he just jabs himself in the balls with a taser. As Kate's then taken to her cell, it again reminds me of the MCU Civil War, and we get a look at some of the inmates. We see a normal looking dude who might be the Sage Grove escapee who attacked the boys during season 2. Come on man, I'm trying to pad this crap out here. There's also a guy with horns who I don't recognise from any other episode, but lastly there's Shahemoth. She's the boys' version of She-Hulk and was first introduced during the Herogasm comic. In the show, she appeared in episode 4 of Gen V season 1, where she was accused of killing her boyfriend. Later in season 4 of The Boys, she was added to a list of supes who could control the riding. Now either Shahemoth refused to do Homelander's bidding, unlike Kate, Sam and Cindy, or she was just deemed too dangerous to put out on the streets. She-Hulk was also a lawyer in the comics who actually campaigned to get the heroes freed during Civil War. So we might have that kind of aspect here, where she's been put in jail with those she's trying to protect. It's a very dark time for Kate, until the Scooby Gang turn up later, and an even darker time for them. Kate's arc is the total opposite of Sam's one though, and he finally returns home. We get shots of a wind catcher, white picket fences, and also the family's postbox. It's the ideal American dream, and why Golden Boy was number 1. He was the quintessential all-American marketing dream, appealing to the widest range of people. Unlike Jordan and Marie, who were also said to be difficult to market, Sam could have presumably filled in the wake of Golden Boy's death. For Vought though, his mental health got in the way. This perfect American upbringing is also what Vought PR manufactured for Homelander. He was given a Superman farm-based upbringing, which itself was lifted from the comics where Vought lied and said that he landed on Earth. Basically, exactly like the last son of Krypton. Just like Homelander, Sam has also had a tough upbringing, with him saying at points that his parents were scared of him and he was also put in a cell. Now, he lands in his childhood street, and I did look up to see if Sam could fly, as we've never really seen this power before. As of making this, all the info on the show says he can't, and because of this, I think it might be a case of him just being so strong he can leap through the air. Kind of like the Hulk. We then see family photos of the brothers looking at a cruise ship and also Sam's basketball jersey. I bet this white boy can jump. Hey, and that's why we're the 4th best. Sam's been through a really difficult couple of years though. He's not only been locked up for part of his youth, but he's also lost his brother. His parents have had a tough time, but this episode flips our perceptions of Soup's parents. Something we will get into in a bit as we find out his parents didn't give him Compound V to get rich. In what's quite a big twist, we find out they actually wanted to help him. Opening the fridge, we then see leftover pizza, and this is food his mum tries to order later on. There's also a can of Big Game Cola. He's a Nightwing parody and leader of the Teenage Kicks in the comics, and was featured briefly in The Boys season 1 episode 1. Sam then finally gets to meet his parents again, who think he's just a burglar. Now what I'm saying again is because they're portrayed by different actors compared to last time, with his mother being played by Lisa Ride, who I instantly recognised. She played Becca Valentine in Andromeda and KM14 in Jason X. Ryan Hollyman also plays Sam's dad, and this is a fantastic piece of casting, mainly because the actor played Scott Summers' father in X-Men Apocalypse. They seem to accept him with open arms, literally, and it's the opposite of what I told Jordan last week. At least one of the Supes has a possible future happy home life. I did wonder if this was all in his head though, or maybe even Cipher puppeting the parents, because they do seem a bit weird at points. Throughout the episode we see his mother acting strange, but that's up until a playground scene where, yeah, they finally turn out to be normal. But yeah, I did wonder if it was like another puppet thing, an illusion, maybe the meat puppets, I don't know, but yeah, moving on. Just nice to see one of the Supes having a nice time, and he's so happy he even declines helping Emma. They all get locked in, and then I'm thinking down the line, Sam's on the outside, he's going to be like, oh, I need to go help these guys, and then he's going to go break them out. Now, speaking of Emma, we then cut to her drowning her sorrows, and she says her family would drink to get through times like this. So yeah, they're alcoholics, and I can say that because I'm from like a long family of alcoholics. But her bad times are stuff like her cousin Eli's Transformer theme bar mitzvah party, which I don't know, mate, that actually doesn't sound too bad. Meanwhile, Marie's trying to sell a rescue attempt to the other two. Elmira was hell, and she thinks that rescuing Kate is the right thing to do. It's tough for Emma and Jordan to accept, as Kate is the reason they were sent there at the end of season 1. Poor old Andre died to escape, and as we see later, it's all just a trap. Cipher even shows Marie the door he tried to open later on. Marie wants to use her powers against the Dean though, citing the fact that he thinks she's just a super weapon. She thinks that she's free, but in reality she's just going into a controlled study once again. She has clearly been inspired by Starlight in episode 1 though. She said that she is a hero, and that's kind of what she's inspiring others to be. Apart from Annie, we've only really seen Supes do the right thing when they're at the lowest. There comes a point when you've been used so much to cover up horrible things that the superhumans tend to become human. Maeve was a puppet of the corporations, but she tried to seek redemption after the plane incident. Even A-Train's done this as well. The first scene had him pancaking Huey's girlfriend and basically doing a hit and run without any remorse. Now though, he's standing up for himself. The words she says to the pair are of a similar tone to what Emma used to inspire her own sub-team, Ali and Harper. They both reluctantly join and then plan their infiltration into Elmira. Shame they never said, "You son of a bitch, I'm in." I love the little map they draw though, and I don't know why they did it over 4 pieces of paper and put it together, but yeah, I don't know, just something about that made me chuckle. And the chuckles have been in short supplies these days, since I've been completely killing the mood of the video by mentioning alcoholism. But yeah, moving on. Anyway, we learn how Marie killed a god called Hershey Harry, and she tries to blame it on a shaving accident. Originally, Marie escaped via an air duct, and the others say that when she escaped, the doors were reinforced and there were more guards stationed there. So that route might not even be possible anymore. Earlier in the season, we learn how Andre died trying to open a huge metal security door. The original plan was to escape via a pipe, which ended up being bricked off while he was waiting to get everyone out. So Marie's escape led to high security, indirectly causing Andre's death. Emma plans to call Sam as they need someone super strong to break down the security door. My guy is finally happy and at home with his parents for the first time in years, but there's really no happy endings in this show. Even Huey's dad, yeah, he died a horrible death due to Vought. Cutting to, well, not horrible, it was peaceful, but yeah, he still died because of that. Cutting to Sam, he's watching Avenue V and eating the Deep cereal Choctopus. I even wonder if the Deep can look at that box without wincing anymore. On Avenue V, the Deep says that when he was a young minnow, he was even afraid of the bath, which is much more innocent than the freakish real-life Deep. We then get a phone call and cut to a wide shot of the kitchen where we see a leaky tap. Now, going into my proper film analysis mode here, but this is actually used a lot in movies and shows to kind of break the illusion that everything's perfect. It's kind of shorthand for saying that though everything looks great, there's a leaky tap which speaks to a bigger problem. And I swear I'm not making that up. On the phone, Sam says that Kate deserves to be where she is because she's a bad person. So far, Sam's had little agency in the show, and he's been imprisoned, mind controlled by Kate, stumbled across Emma, and then was used by Homelander as part of his secret police. It's the opposite of what Marie and Emma have been preaching. Marie wants to help Kate even though she's wronged her, as it's the right thing to do. He isn't willing to sacrifice his newly found peace for someone who caused him pain and then took away said pain. As we later find out, Emma should have taken his advice as she ends up locked up once again. Sadly for the group, the phone call's futile and they head off to Elmira using the hybrid car that was given to Jordan after becoming God Use number 1. Which was a nice little callback. They then try to give it to Marie, but she doesn't have a driver's license. Most likely because she spent all of her childhood in Red River. Despite Genevieve's sentry not joining them, they then decide to go ahead and break Kate out anyway. Yeah, it doesn't go that well later on. We then see Greg once again, who's very, very into Emma. He compliments her fit, saying it's like her Reputation era. Everyone can do a lot with clothes, mate, and it makes me think of how great you look in our t-shirts at the merch store below. There we just launched our brand new Genevieve Godolkin inspired shirts, along with the brand new Marvel Zombies themed one. We also have our classic Me and the Boys one, and as always, we have our deal where the more you buy, the more of a discount you get. All goes towards helping videos like this get made, and you could be in your own Reputation era. Now that Reputation era is of course a nod to Taylor Swift's album of the same name. It's an era where the singer switched to a darker tone after a high profile feud with Kanye West. So Emma's in her Reputation era after being demonetized on YouTube and trying to escape the little cricket persona. Still, I don't trust that guy with curtains. He's a performative male, super sweet haircut looking ass, blonde hair, blue eye type guy, which yeah, they may have cast for a reason. Yeah, but he's clearly into her, which makes Jordan and Marie smile. However, she's not opening herself up to him. I mean, she's had a guy use her to jump on his balls, and an ex who joined Homelander's Gestapo. I even wondered if Cipher was meat puppeting him, and there may be spies beyond the ones we've met. Hell, he might have even been doing the mum and dad maybe. Yeah, got a lot of Terminator 2 vibes there. I know they don't go that route, but there's still lots of episodes left and it could happen. Either way, they're on their way to Elmira as we cut to Polarity meeting with Cipher. He then gets his usual blended food, which is also another clue about Godolkin, I feel. We catch Polarity glaring at the Dean, and as we learn here, he's responsible for his son's death. He also gets a drink from Voop Bistro, which is probably a reference to Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop. The company that is, you dirty bastard. But there's also a candle that apparently smells a certain way. Cipher offers him an assistant, but Polarity's very independent. Now, just like with Marie, he basically wants him to cut to the chase. He knows that Polarity's been asking people that vote about him and infiltrating the archives. Cipher says that his work's a culmination of years of supes accepting their powers for what they are, and we've seen that most want to get rich and just being the Vought Studios movies and gain clout and followers. As he explained in his special seminar, supes don't know how their powers work as there's no training to unlock them and level up. These are all aspects which the Dean now wants to change. He's like an evil Professor X, which is actually similar to what Godolkin was in the comics. In the end, they get down to it, and Cipher basically talks about how Andre died in an experiment. He pushed him as far as he could go, but his body didn't allow for it. So it seems like the breakout was all a ruse to help stress Andre and force him to unlock his powers. It's kind of similar to the use of camp sets in V for Vendetta, where it was used to basically erase Evie's fear. She of course didn't have superpowers, but the imprisonment would push her and make her see things a different way. However, due to the micro tears in his brain, it ended up killing him. Furious, Polarity flicks his knife at Cipher's neck, who then tells him to do it. Smartly, Polarity doesn't kill him, and we see that the Dean can withstand substantial pain. I did wonder if it was like a hypnotism trick where they used to get people to stick needles in their skin and they wouldn't flinch because yeah, they were under control. If the Dean is in fact a meat puppet, then it makes sense that this wouldn't harm him. It's a chilling moment, and Hamish Linklater has been superb in season 2 thus far. He tells Polarity that he has no idea what he's dealing with, and it's a very tough scene. Cipher might even be the scariest supe beside Homelander, and he's menacing in a very cerebral way. Completely manipulative, very, very two-faced, constantly ahead of you, whereas I feel like Homelander's just like, you just laser your brain, you just spam that attack. He then covers the cut on his hand, and you might notice later on that he wears a bandage when Marie sees it. I did wonder if this cut is going to basically be a weakness, as Marie can control blood and could potentially pull that from him. But then again, I don't know if she needs actually to have access to cuts and she can just do it anyway. He also mentions talking to Dana White, which is of course tied to the UFC. Cutting to Sam, we then see his former childhood room. His parents have put their Peloton and golf clubs in there as they thought that he died. We also see a Homelander height measurement chart, and Luke's ends in 2012, whereas Sam's ends in 2013. There are some more photos though of the brothers, again showing that they still cared for them. He even kept the old childhood drawings and a Maeve toy. Careful with that, mate, you drop it and it might shatter. Now, he never got to meet Queen Maeve as she quote-unquote died before he arrived at Vought Tower, and he's still angry with his parents. Mainly because they kept on living, but his dad explains how Vought lied and said he died. They even had given him a funeral and don't know who they buried. Then they lost his brother and then saw Sam on TV. So there's been these constant up and downs. It shows just how evil the company is though, as they gave them someone else's remains and let them think Sam had died even after Luke exploded. Now they just said it was a misidentification issue, but it's the final insult, and yeah, they just make it out to be some clerical error when they basically told them their kid was dead. And then after all that, they pretended that Sam didn't want to see them. So yeah, very messed up. Everything he thought his parents did was a total lie, and the reveal that they try to see him is what eventually wins him over. Seeking more normalcy, he asks his dad to measure him, as the ones in the wall are very old. But this piece is shattered once again, as his paranoid delusions lead him to think his mother's calling Vought. It's very similar to the scene of Iceman returning home in X-Men, and I love how it kind of plays with your expectations. What it does though is show just how powerful he is and why people would be scared of him. He turns her phone into dust and almost kills his dad. His mother says, "Stay away," which makes us think he was right about her. However, later in the episode, he comes clean about why they gave him V. During that aforementioned playground scene, it turns out they sent him to Sage Grove due to his mental health problems and violent tendencies. These issues were then made worse by his powers. Leads him to ask why they gave him Compound V and says that it broke him. During the boys' diabolical, we saw how the kids of Red River sought revenge against their parents as they blamed them for the state that they were in. This season of Gen V though has changed how we perceive the parents of Supes. It seemed like they did it for selfish reasons initially, but it was revealed that Marie's parents objected her to it so they could then have a child. It was done out of love rather than wanting to get rich so they could subscribe to our membership program and get videos early. That's only 99 cents a month though, so you wouldn't have to be rich to do it. Sam's parents also injected him with it in the hopes that it would fix his mental health problems, and this is an issue that runs in their family. His uncle almost committed a mass shooting before he was stopped, and Sam's mother hoped that V would fix his brain. Sadly, it didn't work and just made him stronger, which made him a bigger threat to people's safety. Sam now has to accept his mental health problems for what they are, but as he can put a name to it, knows what they are, it means that he can try and work on his illness, or live with it. There's no more thinking that his parents did him wrong though, and he can now hopefully live a normalish life. Although he might embrace being a hero and join the resistance further down the line. Meanwhile, Marie and co trying to infiltrate Elmira. One problem though, as expected, Vaught's blocked off the air vent.
It's a trap!
Again, it kind of plays into how they up security and are constantly adapting. They're then taken to their cells, with Emma getting the Magneto one. Also, it reminds me a lot of Silver's in Skyfall, and it's just a cool cell when it's like completely transparent. Obviously though, in a one with corners and hiding spots, she'd be able to shrink down, and people might look through the window and be like, where the hell is she? Open the door, and then she's escaped. So yeah, there has to be transparent and you have to be able to see everything. But yeah, it's very harrowing just having no privacy at all. Kate then finds out that though the rescue attempt's gone wrong, they actually tried to save her. Find it funny how Emma was also the most resistant to rescuing Kate, and she's basically ended up opposite to her. Watching over them though is Cipher, and building off that point before, Sage is wearing a Detroit tee. At the moment though, they're fully off the grid, and Polarity tries to warn them about Cipher being psycho. I did chuckle at Emma's voicemail though, and you know as well that I zoomed right into those contacts on Polarity's phone. There we have Casey Hideki, which is the name of the stunt performer on The Boys and Gen V. He also has Homelander's number, and I wish we would get like a scene where they prank call him like in the comics. Sadly though, that's all I could find, but if you saw a name you recognize, then let us know below, as we love it when we miss stuff as well. Now, like Emma earlier, he turns to the bottle and sees photo himself with Andre as a child. The digital picture frame then flickers, which hints at his powers are funky and that a seizure's incoming. Now we might even see Marie end up healing Polarity, as if she's able to bring people back from the dead, then this should be no problemo. Anyway, back at Elmira, Emma's trying to purge and become small again. She did say that once she thought she could grow and shrink on her own, that she wouldn't need to purge again. However, it does show that her powers are psychosomatic and that she's having difficulties because, yeah, she's trapped in a prison cell. It's one of the big undercurrents of the show where the students' powers reflect real-world problems that young people face. Marie has to self-harm to use her powers, Emma has to be sick, and Sam's mental health problems make his powers a danger. It's a really smart way to blend real-life problems, like what you'd see on Grange Hill or something. Well, not Grange Hill, Biker Grove for me, but I'm just trying to be more out there and more accepting, but it's Biker Grove all day for me. Either way, it's Kate's turn to try and escape this time as she takes a staple from her head and manages to unlock her collar. Her powers are still iffy though, and she asks her god to unlock her and hand over the keys, only for him to then stab himself in the eye. Yay! Hey, at least he didn't do anything sexual this time, I guess. But maybe they are starting to come back after all, because yeah, she asked for the key and kind of got that. Hopefully, maybe even Marie can heal her now, which might be a double-edged sword. Now, while this is going on, Marie and Jordan are confronted by the Dean. He wants to work with her, and we learn that he doesn't want her to be a weapon. Instead, he wants her to heal the world, make it a better place, and because of this, lives will be better. When she ascends to her full potential, she'll be able to basically control life and death. She can rip people's blood out, kill them in an instant, or help anyone that Cipher deems worthy of bringing back. Also, I think it's important to know that he says his life will be better, and if it's Godolkin, he could be referring to her healing him. He then tells her to ignore her boo-boo, which made me think she would somehow control the blood from it, but she doesn't. To make sure she can't use her blood to escape again, she's been injected with an anticoagulant called peperine, meaning that she can't make those weird blood tentacles. It's here though that we learn just what Sister Sage brought him. As mentioned earlier, she managed to kidnap Annabeth and take her to Elmira. Before this though, they see the door that Andre died trying to open. And Marie has an option here, do what he says, and her sister will be safe. It's the ultimate tool to get Marie to be compliant, but it ends up backfiring as she says she's now gonna kill him. Luckily for her, Emma and Kate then arrive and help them escape. And then Jordan thinks, it's a trap! And I did at first, like some sort of Mission Impossible trick thing. Instead though, they find Annabeth with her throat cut, but it does seem like the Dean's plans worked. The trauma of seeing her sister dead leads to her finally losing it and trying something we never thought possible. She brings her back from the dead, but this causes a massive cost to everyone around her. We see blood dripping from everyone's nostrils, which is normally a sign in science fiction that someone's reaching over their power limits. Happened to Kate in the first season, but it might be Marie trying to tap into the blood force. Like the speed force or something, I don't know. Never mind, moving on. Each of her friends scream in pain as Marie works her magic. We actually have seen her saving someone before, and this happened during the first episode when they bumped into someone at the nightclub. There she saved the day and was adored by the school and media. Here though, she reaches a new peak of her powers and can solve death. However, she's in prison, and though she's not going to be a weapon according to Cipher, she's going to be a weapon. It's obviously an incredible power that will literally make her control death, and she'll now be able to make anyone unstoppable, so you can see how humanity could be fucked. If we get a zombie situation like someone with Lamplighter, then she may even be able to resurrect them. We then close out the episode with roller credits by Daniel Ponder. The final lyrics of the song say, "Good God Almighty, I done opened my mind, these holy waters left a chill down my spine." This matches what Marie's feeling as she's opened up her powers and subsequently her mind. Now this reunion with her sister is not something Marie had dreamed of, and she'd been looking for Annabeth between season 1 and 2. She learned that not only was her sister scared of her, but she's now having to deal with the fact that they're both fugitives of Vought. We may even learn as well that Pam could have been manipulating things and said that she was scared, but it might have been different from what we've been told. Especially as we've seen kind of how Vought can manipulate people you love through Sam's parents. Annabeth would have likely have seen Marie on the news as a hero, and I do kind of wonder if this would have changed her perception and we've been told something different. But yeah, I'm going off on another tangent there, and yeah, this is another really gripping entry in the season. I think the overarching mystery of Cipher's plans is just as enjoyable as Shetty's, and the main cast have all had like really great character moments. Just seeing Cipher as a villain as well, he's so threatening, and I love seeing them grow and have to face up to this new threat. They're all at such a pivotal moment in their lives, and I love how this is kind of just laying the groundwork for The Boys Season 5. So yeah, this is one of the strongest episodes of the season so far, and Though we've only got 3 left, I'm excited to see where we go. In the meantime though, I'd love to hear your comments, so make sure you drop them below. Please hit the thumbs up as well, and if you want to follow us on Instagram and keep up to date with what we're doing, then make sure you check us out at Heavy Spoilers. Did you know as well, mate, I know I mentioned it before, but members of the channel also get early access to videos for just 99 cents a month. You'll get at least one breakdown a week before everyone else, and it makes a massive difference to the channel and yeah, helps us do these videos. So thank you to everyone who does that. Now if you want something else to watch, we've got a breakdown on screen right now. Without the way though, thank you for sitting through this. I've been your host Paul. You've been the best, and I'll see you next time. Take care, peace.